What is up, fight fans? This is DJC Combat, and this weekend, December 17th, is the final fight night of the year. We conclude 2022 with the last main event being Cannonier versus Strickland, and I want to give my breakdown and prediction for that matchup. Both Cannonier and Strickland are coming off losses from the same card last summer at UFC 276, where Cannonier lost a decision to the former middleweight champion. I can't believe I'm saying this. The former middleweight champ, Israel Adesanya. Doesn't even feel right calling him a former champ. And Sean Strickland earlier that night got knocked the F out by the current middleweight champion, Alex Poatan Pereira. And originally this matchup was actually going to happen in October 15th. But Strickland was fortunate enough for this fight to be postponed 2 months later because Jared Cannonier is a dangerous fighter to come back to. If you're coming off a knockout loss and you want to do a quick turnaround, Cannonier is not that guy. So I think Strickland is lucky he gets an additional 2 months, and it will have been 5 months since his knockout loss to Pereira, the champion. Plenty of time for Strickland to have recovered since then. And we will, in fact, find out the extent to which Sean Strickland has recovered. But as far as the matchup goes, Cannonier versus Strickland, both guys have a boxing-heavy style. And this matchup will mainly be contested on the feet. Strickland does have actually really good grappling, but he hardly ever uses it. He only uses it as a base to keep the fight upright, to defend takedowns, which he's very good at doing. He's a hard guy to take down, and he looks to keep it standing and, as he likes to call it, do the man dance. But in this fight, it could be needed. And then Jared Cannonier, same thing. He doesn't really go for takedowns, but he has very, very good takedown defense. Although Cannonier, he'll blitz you, he'll close the distance and then get you in the clinch and hold you against the cage. He does that from time to time, but he's not a guy who will actually look to get the fight to the ground. So based off those factors, 100% this will be a stand-up fight, no doubt. And who does a stand-up fight between these two favor? Strickland or Cannonier? I think on a technical level, I think Sean Strickland is better than Cannonier. I think his boxing is better than Jared Cannonier. He has a very solid jab, 1-2. I think he throws better combinations than Jared Cannonier. And Jared does not do well with straight punches at all. Robert Whittaker showed that. I think Cannonier could be susceptible to those jabs of Sean Strickland. They could give Cannonier a lot of problems in this fight. But Cannonier has the power advantage 100%. I think Cannonier, he can take the shots of Sean Strickland, and he can last in the fight with Strickland with that power he carries for all five, which makes him extremely dangerous. There will be no point in this matchup where Strickland is safe against Jared Cannonier. He's got to be sharp and on point the entire time. He cannot get complacent. He cannot get careless against Jared Cannonier, because if he does one mistake, Jared Cannonier can capitalize, and that could be it. Cannonier does have that fight-changing power, but Jared Cannonier is also very composed as well. Even if he's behind, he'll take his time. He does not panic, and eventually he's able to find something somewhere throughout the fight. He had it tough early against Jack Hermansson, but was able to stay composed. He found the opening, got the kill against Hermansson. It was the same thing against Derek Brunson. He struggled early against Derek Brunson, but he stayed patient. He was able to find that opening on Derek Brunson to change the fight, to get the finish. It was the same thing with David Branch. Now, he wasn't able to do that with Robert Whittaker, and he wasn't able to do that with Israel Adesanya, but that's because it's Israel Adesanya and Robert Whittaker, two of the best in that division, two of the best strikers in that division, and Strickland is nowhere near on the level of a Whittaker or an Israel Adesanya. Adesanya is just too slick, too tricky. He's hard to hit, too elusive. And it's the same thing with Robert Whittaker. And Robert does not get predictable. He'll give you different looks, and he makes himself very hard to get to. Whereas Strickland, I think his style compared to a Whittaker Anna Israel is very one-dimensional and a lot easier to pick up on and a lot easier to figure out, which leaves Strickland in danger in this matchup. Because if Cannonier does figure him out, it's going to be a wrap. And that's the problem with this matchup. Sean Strickland is very stubborn and can be stuck in his ways. And for as technical as Strickland is, the problem with Strickland is he doesn't have the best defense. Neither does Jared Cannonier. I mean, Cannonier is susceptible to being hit, and maybe more so than Sean Strickland. But still, Strickland, his defense is predictable. He'll kind of lean out of the pocket, and he'll have this like Philly shell he puts up. Like he has this cross arm block that he'll use to fend off punches. But I think that can only work so much on Jared Cannonier. I don't think it's going to be enough to hold off Cannonier for all 5 rounds. He has to change it up, and he has to mix in some grappling, even though I don't think he'll have much success out grappling Cannonier, because Cannonier is very strong. He's got that heavyweight strength, and he's got great takedown defense. But it will at least give Jared Cannonier something to think about. If he's got to worry about the boxing of Strickland plus takedown attempts and clinching of Strickland, if he gives Cannonier a lot to think about and remains unpredictable with his attacks, gives many different looks, then Jared Cannonier will have a very hard time figuring Strickland out and finding his way back in the fight. And all of that could maybe lead to Cannonier getting desperate. And I think the more desperate Cannonier gets and the less calculated, that could maybe give Strickland some openings to maybe get a finish in this fight somewhere maybe in the late rounds. But that's the only way I see that's the only way I see Sean Strickland beating Jared Cannonier. But I don't know if he really has the fight IQ or the skills to do that. I think he's capable of doing it, but can and will are two different things. And another problem with Strickland is that he's not elusive enough, okay? He doesn't cut angles. He will stand in front of Jared Cannonier. He stands in front of you. He's right there on the center line. And against Cannonier, that is a dangerous game to play. You do not want to stand in front of a power puncher like Jared Cannonier because he will catch you. And another thing as well, I think Strickland is kind of open to leg kicks, and Jared Cannonier has some powerful, crippling leg kicks, which could be a deciding factor in this matchup. It's not going to matter much because Strickland will stand in front of him. He doesn't have the greatest footwork anyway, but those leg kicks will still be very problematic for Sean Strickland to go up against. And he's got to do something about those leg kicks. He cannot allow free leg kicks from Cannonier. He's got to have some kind of counter to make Jared pay. He's got to check those kicks actively and show him that I'm not just going to be there for you to leg kick. And he's got to cut angles, and he's got to mix it up. But I don't think Strickland is going to do any of those things I said he should do. Therefore, I pick Jared Cannonier to win this fight. I do think Cannonier is going to struggle early in this fight. He's going to have a slow start. Jared is kind of a slow starter. I think Strickland will have some early success teeing off on Jared Cannonier, getting the better of the initial exchanges. But I think as the fight goes on, I just think Jared's going to get confident. I think he's going to get comfortable. I think he's going to get settled into the fight. And I think eventually he's going to find an opening. And Strickland will leave himself exposed. Cannonier will figure him out, I think, somewhere by the 3rd round and land a fight-ending shot. And I say Cannonier wins by 3rd round knockout. Strickland will be doing good early, like I said, but he's going to get too predictable. And I think his style is a bit too one-dimensional, and he's too stuck in his ways. And I just don't feel he'll have really learned anything from the Alex Pereira fight. Even though Pereira is better than Jared Cannonier, it does not matter. Making that same mistake against Jared will still have consequences one way or another. Jared Cannonier is just too damn powerful, too dangerous. And I just don't see Strickland being able to avoid that power. He just doesn't have the style to neutralize the power of Jared Cannonier for 5 rounds. But we'll see. I mean, I could see Strickland winning. I wouldn't be surprised if Strickland wins. But I just feel that Jared Cannonier has this one. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Who do you guys have winning? Sean Strickland or the Killer Gorilla, Jared Cannonier? Like and subscribe, and peace out.